Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. We get together most weekday mornings at 8 o'clock Central, talk about the grant, talk about the resources, and make sure that everyone's clear on our three mandates. Due to the grant we received, mandate number one is to help improve financial literacy. Number two is to give away free shelf corps. And number three is to leverage that knowledge from number one and the free shelf corps from number two to help clients access capital to start and grow a business. I'm on 509pacific.org. This is our nonprofit site. And so I'm just going to go through a couple of highlights here for you this morning. So there's a new section that's been added, and we're going to spend more time talking about it, QuickCash. We'll come back to that in a moment. Underneath is the information about participating in the grant and getting that free shelf corp that includes the credit sweep. So that is second here, middle of the page. Any entrepreneur or to be entrepreneur that's looking for money to start or grow a business, this is great information. There's a training video here in bold that describes how it works, and then the participant is able to just click on the click here and participate. Very easy, great program, great success. And then many of you that's on the live webinar are our distribution partners. That's at the bottom of the page. There's technically two ways to be a distribution partner. We're in the process of opening physical branch offices across the country, but also we have a reseller program. In either case, there's some background information we encourage you to view. If you want to register for the daily Zooms like we're on now, it's here. But ultimately, when you fill out this inquiry form, you'll let us know, are you interested in a branch office? Check if so. If not, you can be a reseller. Submit that in, and then within short order, we will get you information about whichever one that you've expressed interest in. So with that being said, though, I want to focus on the QuickCash flashback here. So for the past 2 days, we've been speaking about asset-based lending, ABL, and that falls more within corporate finance. But in summary, and you can go back and view the past trainings on our YouTube channel, asset-based lending is really, I think, a best kept secret. Large, sophisticated businesses have used asset-based lending, ABL, for quite a while, but it's typically not been available to smaller businesses and early stage businesses, primarily because most of them don't have the assets that they need to qualify. But as we discussed on the training the past 2 days, we provide those assets so even a new business, a startup business, can still qualify for ABL, asset-based lending. Well, what's happened is a number of you have learned about, well, how does asset-based lending work? It's essentially us transferring legally and ethically assets to the business so it qualifies for funding. But what happened is a number of you have asked, well, could we do this for individuals? If we have the ability to legally and ethically transfer assets to businesses for ABL, could we transfer assets to individuals that really don't want a loan? They just want the assets and then, of course, the conversion to cash. And the answer to that is absolutely yes. So that's what we're going to spend a few minutes on our abbreviated training today. So we call this the QuickCash program. It has changed a bit. It's evolved a bit. We've offered QuickCash in the past. We've learned what worked and what doesn't work so well. So this is a new iteration that is really polished and ready to go. The prior QuickCash was based on 10,000, but what we heard from many folks is they really needed 20,000. So we've reset the amount to 20,000. It's the same turnaround time, and it has a number of highlights. So the QuickCash program, it's not a loan. It's not money that's borrowed. The 20,000 does not have to be paid back. So that's much different than, of course, qualifying for a loan and then repaying the loan. Another key benefit of QuickCash is it's unrestricted funds, which means there's not some lender or some organization telling people what they have to do with it. And then it's a great fit for people who either don't qualify for a loan or frankly don't want a loan. They just want money. So with that being said, we have a link here and I've already clicked it. So it brings up this page. So anyone that's interested in QuickCash would come to 509pacific.org, click this link here, and it's going to pop up this page. So this gives us a deeper dive, right? Because on a website, you got to kind of keep things simple and get their interest, and then we get here for the rest of the story. So let's use this as our talking points for the next few minutes. So Quick Cash is transferring $20,000 to the participant within one business day. And I guess maybe we should have put an asterisk. So it's next business day. So if you bought it on Thursday, you get it Friday. But if you buy it on Friday, you probably won't get it till Monday. It was designed through the nonprofit. It provides three benefits. And again, small business owners could use QuickCash, but it's really valuable just for an individual, not necessarily looking for funding. It helps improve cash flow, liquidity, and improving the balance sheet, or for individuals, personal financial statements, PFS. So we've covered some of this. The process is, of course, anyone would go to the website, as I've shown. They'll click on the link, which brings up this page here. And then within 24 hours, one business day, we're going to transfer over $20,000 of accounts receivables. So when you think about asset-based lending, like we talked about the past 2 days, that's where we're transferring $1 million. So for ABL, for business funding, it's a portfolio of $1 million. In the sense of Quick Cash, it's simpler, it's smaller, but it's very similar in the concept. We're going to transfer over $20,000 of AR, of accounts receivables, real legal receivables. And then what we'll do is on number 3, help the client post those assets to their financials, so that immediately builds their net worth, or for the business, builds the book value of the business. And then we liquidate those assets to cash. As we've talked about earlier this week, we're licensed, bonded, and insured as a debt collector. So what happens, let's just walk through a scenario so it maybe seems more relevant. So let's take Amanda, who's on today. So let's say Amanda says, she just really needs some cash fast. It's not about getting a business fundable and having all the other documentation. She just wants cash. So with that, she could come to 509 Pacific, click here, pops up this. She'd fill out the packet. The rest of the packet's beneath, by the way. But so she would fill out this. And so what would happen is within 24 hours, we're going to transfer to her, as it states on number 2 here, 20,000 of accounts receivables. Normally, that's going to be 2 AR files, accounts receivable AR files of 10,000 apiece. Then what our paralegal team and legal team will do is then we're going to liquidate that AR, which is what it says here at the bottom of number 3. So what that means is we're going to immediately or near immediately get a demand letter out to the debtors. So in this example, using Amanda came to 509 Pacific. She wants Quick Cash. She filled this out. We transfer the 20,000 in AR to her within one business day. Now we need to liquidate. We need to turn that AR into cash. So the first thing that so Amanda is the creditor. She's the person owed, and there are 2 debtors that owe her. Each of those debtors owe her 10,000. She'll know who they are. It's all transparent against legal, but Amanda doesn't have to do anything with that. We'll take care of it. It's outsourced because we're licensed, bonded, and insured. So with that being said, then the first thing we're to do is get a demand letter, a demand notice out to the debtor right away. Hey, you owe this money. Here's a copy of the contract. Here's why you owe it. Pay it or we're going to sue you. So when it comes to debt collection, there's really 2 schools of thought. One is go put it on their credit. But if you're going to report derogatories on the debtor's credit, that takes a while because according to the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you have to give them proper notice and you have to wait 30 days before you can post it. And then it only reports once a month. So that takes a while. And some people don't give a shit about their credit because they already have bad credit, or other people think they're really clever in removing derogatories, so they don't care. So that's one school of thought. We're going to add that as a secondary, but that's not our primary focus. Our primary focus is to litigate, and I'll describe how that works. So again, Amanda, the example is Amanda wants 20,000. She comes to 509pacific.org. She clicks there. It brings up the packet. She fills out the packet. We get her 20,000 in 24 hours. She's the creditor. She's got two debtors owing her 10,000 apiece. We're going to send out the demand notices to those two debtors very quickly. Now, again, Amanda's behind the scenes because Amanda is not licensed, bonded, and insured as a debt collector. She doesn't want to deal with this. She just wants the money. So we're doing it on her behalf. And the documentation that we have here allows us to do it for her. So it's all legally compliant. So the debtor is going to receive the demand notice right away, typically the same day as when Amanda receives the packet. So let's say one day after Amanda signs up, Amanda gets the 20,000 transferred to her in AR, and we are already immediately going after the debtors. So there's that first notice. Now, that might be enough to motivate them to pay. They might pay in full. They might have to set up payments. They might negotiate a settlement. But many people, like you and I, are responsible, right? If we really owe something and someone's asking for it and we know that there's negative consequences if we don't pay for it, then we typically do it. Not everyone does that. But our negative consequence is not going to be based around putting it on their credit for the reasons I've stated. Our focus is going to be we're going to sue them, we're going to win the lawsuit, and we have a law firm that's called a receivership. And if you don't know about receiverships, you really will want to understand, but I'll get to that point in a moment. So first we give the debtor the opportunity to pay. And a lot of people will pay because they're honorable. They know they have an obligation. They want to avoid the consequences. So they either pay in full or pay in part. But if that's not the case, then our next step in this new process is for the paralegals to go ahead and draft up the lawsuit. And we will send the lawsuit before filed, but we'll send the lawsuit to the debtor one last time. Two debtors in this case, in Amanda's example. And that often will get people to pay because now they know it's serious. They actually see the lawsuit. They're going to be responsible not just for the 10,000 that they owe Amanda, but we're going to add court cost and collection fees on top. And these are slam dunk cases. They're absolutely collectible because it's in black and white. So at this point, there's been two key interactions with the debtor trying to motivate them to pay. The initial demand notice, and then follow up if they didn't pay off of that, the threat to sue, the legal threat to sue. But if not, we've got a really smooth process worked out now. I've visited with the court clerk. I've talked to the judge. We've got a real simplistic process so we can go ahead and get that lawsuit filed right away. And again, then they're going to be served, right? And so now they really know they, meaning the debtor, really knows it's serious because here's the sheriff knocking on their door or the private process server, however they get served. So again, that'll motivate a lot of people to pay because it's clear they owe the debt. It's in black and white. So you can see through each of these touches, we have a higher and higher probability of the client paying, in this case, getting Amanda her money. Worst case scenario, we go to court, but usually we don't have to go to court because we can file for a summary judgment. Instead of waiting for a court date, we now have it worked out with the courthouse. We can say, look, judge, there's no question. Why would we waste the court's time? We don't need to have a court date. The debtor owes, they've not paid. We've tried to resolve it, and we would like to go ahead and get a judgment against them. So then we are able to accelerate the process. So with the judgment then, we have a law firm, which I referenced a moment ago, actually a couple different law firms, but one primary one that then acts as a receiver. A receiver is the most important role in debt collection because that law firm now is going to go find the assets of the debtors, whether it be they have a W-2 job, so we garnish their wages, or they have assets that can be seized and sold. With our attorney that handles the receiverships, we've even found out they had a bank account and a safe deposit box, and we had a court order to literally go in and drill that lock out of that safe deposit box. And then the contents of that box is ours. So Amanda gets her money. So that's a condensed process. But the bottom line is this is a way for individuals who are looking for money to get money quickly without having the obligation to having to pay it back because it's not borrowed funds. What we're doing through the grant is literally giving away the collateral. So what's awesome is instead of people paying for the 20,000 of AR through the grant, it's dispersed for free. All the participants are doing is paying the court cost because we have to pay to file the lawsuit. We have to pay to have the people served. So you're looking at right at $1,000 of anticipated court cost covering the two debtors 10,000 apiece. So that's the financial proposition. If you have someone that is looking for 20,000, they don't want to borrow it, they can get the assets for free. They're just covering the court costs. I see Clinton already has a question, and that's right. So we're going to add the court cost to the debtor's burden so we recover that. So the client actually is getting reimbursed through the court system for the court filing fees. And that's exactly right, Clinton. All right, Corinthians asking, how are we paid? Well, we're licensed, bond, and insured, so we're paid based upon the capital raised. I should say the loans, the money collected specifically. But again, what we do is we take that base amount, going back to the Amanda example. Amanda is owed 10,000 by two debtors. We're adding our court cost and the collection cost on top of that 10,000. So then when we're collecting the money from the debtor, Amanda still gets her full 10,000 times two, 20,000, or at least that's the concept. So the nice thing, the ironic thing is for the debt collection team to collect this money for the client, it's actually the debtor that's paying our cost, not the client. So I'll wrap this up and then we'll field a few questions and keep it short today. So on 509pacific.org, we have a number of resources. We've added QuickCash at the top, which we've discussed, as we've had for quite some time. When you have individuals that's looking for money to start or grow a business, that is where the free shelf corp comes in. Lots of good information here and a good video to watch to learn more. And then anyone that's looking to be a distribution partner certainly can become one. There's no cost to be a reseller. If someone wants a more advanced role, they can become a branch office instead. But our primary goal today was to get you up to speed on the QuickCash offering, 509pacific.org. It's right here, and that'll bring up this page. What this does is allows us to leverage the grant to transfer the 20,000 to the client. The client doesn't have to pay for it. They don't have to pay it back. All the client's doing is covering the court cost for us to go collect the 20,000, and that's approximately $500 per account. However, the client will be reimbursed that amount through the court system. All right, Debbie's got a great question. What if the client doesn't, or what if the debtor doesn't pay right away? Well, I've described the process, but what we do is we charge the debtor a late fee of $50 a day because time's money. So let's go back to Amanda. Let's say that one of the two debtors pays her right away. So great, she's got 10,000 right away, but the other debtor hasn't paid. We're going to have to go through the court system, or those steps at least, the threat or the actual lawsuit. So each day that that debtor does not pay Amanda, they have a $50 a day late fee. So let's say they drag their feet for a month. Well, that sucks. That's not what Amanda wants. She only got 10,000 of the 20,000, but now she's owed an extra 1,500. So that debt is growing that the debtor owes her. When you look at that as a percent, so let's say she's owed 10,000, it goes up by 15% per month. So that's a higher return than you could earn in the stock market or Bitcoin or real estate. So, of course, we want to liquidate as quickly as possible. But even in the cases where it's not liquidated immediately, the beautiful thing is the money is growing, the debt is growing. Amanda's collections, her anticipated return is growing. All right, so let's go ahead and go through some questions. Lamy asked, is it available outside the United States? Yes, it's not based upon credit, it's not based upon location or nationality, so anyone can participate. Gino asked, are they required to do something with this? And I mentioned that earlier, Gino, that it's unrestricted funds. Remember, I said that, and it's on the page here. So no, it's not restricted, it's unrestricted. He might have typed that before I mentioned that. Thuk asked, can this be used in conjunction with the others? Sure. Sure, yeah, there's really no strings attached. It's a standalone offering that can be used just individually or with the other resources. So no strings attached. Let's see. Selena asked, after they receive the liquidation, it becomes cash. She's just confirming there's no payments. Yeah, there's no payments required. It's all money to the client's pocket. Michael asked about the purchase price, and again, I stated that he might have typed that earlier. So the grant covers the cost of the receivables, so the client's technically not paying anything for the receivables through the grant. All they're doing is covering the court cost, and then we'll seek reimbursement from the court to get the client reimbursed that, plus getting their money. So, the whole world of debt buying and debt selling is a massive industry. And in fact, Encore Capital, ENCORE, I believe, Capital of California, they're a publicly traded $1 billion company. So buying and selling debt instruments is very popular among the wealthy. However, there's often less familiarity with it, with what we call Main Street versus Wall Street. Original ask, is there a limit of participation? No, we've had people that enrolled multiple times. So each enrollment, which is stated, so if you go there, go to 509 Pacific, click that link, it brings up, and I know I've only been on page 1, but it actually has all the documentation, all the legalese that's saying, yes, we're transferring the $20,000. Yes, they're paying the court costs. So everything is there. And it's set up specifically for that amount. I guess I'll go back to that page. It's set up specifically for that amount. So we're delivering 20,000. However, yes, participants could enroll multiple times and get 40,000, 60,000, 80,000. Selena asked about commissions. So this is not a capital raise. Therefore, it doesn't fall under a commissionable event because we're not charging a performance fee off of this. This is not a loan or an extension of credit. It doesn't have to be paid back. So it does fit as a unique niche. But let's say you have a client that wants to start a shelf corp. Maybe they don't have money to start a shelf corp. Maybe we use the QuickCash to fund it. Or maybe they have a shelf corp, but they need money for working capital while we're working on the funding for the shelf corp. Then this could be a bridge type of financing. All right, well, thanks everyone. I encourage you to go to 509pacific.org, get more familiar with it. It's a very good resource. It's legal, it's ethical, it's effective, it's proven. It's up to the individual if it would help them accomplish their goals. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.